Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Grief Talk with me, Kanisha Nichelle. We about today, tears are never wasted and trust the process. All right. So before we get started today, let's dive into a few announcements. I am not being joined by myself today. I am here live in the Grieving Christians Facebook group. Hey, y'all. Grieving Christians Facebook group was started back in October as a means of believers being able to connect in the space of trusting God, knowing God is faithful, but having a tough time with this grief. And so if you are a believer and you would love to connect and fellowship with others, then I invite you to tap the link in my bio or visit KanishaNichelle.com where you can join the Christian group. We believe in prayer and practical resources. That is why tonight we are doing another pop-up workshop titled Grief Wave. So we're going to talk about those ebbs and flows of why grief feels so intense at sometimes, and then there's other moments when everything is feeling okay. So at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, we're doing another grief pop-up workshop inside of the Grieving Christians Facebook group. So I would encourage you to join us right there. Let's go ahead and get into today's topic. So, tears are never wasted. This was my topic per se for my weekly email that came out on Monday. And I know while we're in this grieving season, it's always a tough time with the tears and the sadness and the pain that comes along with losing a loved one. And so what I want you to know is that while we're in the season and we're feeling that pain and we're feeling the ebbs and flows of the waves of grief, you know, every tear that you cry, God promises to remember it. In Psalms 126:5, it says that they that sow in tears shall reap in joy. And that's good news because that lets us know that God promises to remember every single tear that we cry. Not that it will be over when we want it to be, not that as soon as we start making progress that we're not going to continue to have those emotions because it's our loved one. We miss them. We miss their physical presence with us here on this side of the earth. And so it does cause sadness, but God promises to remember every single tear. And so what I want you to remember in this moment is that no matter when you break down and cry, if it's a trigger that happens because you're out and about and you think about your loved one, if it's in the midnight hours when you're in the bed and it's dark outside and the phone isn't ringing as much as it was, and you're left with your thoughts and feelings, I want you to know that God promises to remember every single tear. I am a living, breathing testimony of that because you couldn't have told me at 21 that all the tears that I was going to shed because I'm living this life by myself, that God would remember. You couldn't have told that young adult that in 13 years you'll be on the other side of helping others, and that he would make sure that every tear that was cried because I had to move out of my house, because I had to almost be homeless, essentially because I had to move in with an aunt, because I had to let go of our family home, because I attempted suicide and I thought that was the only means to ending my pain. You couldn't have told me that the tears that were shed during those moments would have been remembered. But I'm here to let you know that if you allow God to infiltrate your heart, if you remember that all the pain that you're going through will have a purpose to it. We don't know what it is. We don't know when it will be revealed. But God promises to let us know that the pain that we're feeling has a purpose, and it does have an end. Not that you will forget about your loved ones, not that you will forget about their memories and you let go of everything that they have taught you and meant to you in your life. But it means that pain, that aching, that sadness that you feel day in and day out, that part of the process will come to an end. And that's when that joy takes place. That's when you're in the seat where you can tell somebody else, hey, I know what you're going through. I've sat right where you're sitting, and I want you to know that you too can get through this. So I just want you to remember that the tears are never, ever wasted. It may feel like in the moment, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I don't know when it's going to be over, because we don't. I can never tell you exactly when it's going to be over. But I can promise you, as sure as my name is Kanisha Nichelle Brown Alexander, you will get through this. All right. And so the other part of this is trusting the process. And so trust the process can relate to the grief journey as well as everyday life. We want to trust the process that whatever we're going through, whatever we're facing, is for our good. God says in his words that He causes all things to work together for the good. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent. All things will work together. And so we've got to trust the process in our lives. With this grief journey, we cannot skip steps. We cannot try to suppress our feelings and overcompensate them with, shopping or alcohol or indulging in relationships. We cannot suppress that part of the journey and say that, well, if I just ignore it, it'll go away. No, because in fact, it makes it worse. And I used this analogy before that think of a pipe, right? Think of a pipe of water holding water and a valve being on top of it. Everything underneath that valve is all that pressure, all that water. Think about your emotions. Think about how you're going through this grief season. If you're not giving yourself an opportunity to release, and to trust the process, that by me releasing, by me sharing, by me connecting in social groups, in support groups, by relying on my support system, by connecting in spaces just like this, being on lives, taking time to get information. If I don't take the time to do these things, then this pipe is going to burst and it is going to erupt in my life in ways that I may not have imagined. It can show up in your life, in your health. So while we're grieving and going through this season, well, now we're not sharing what we're feeling. And so now we start having health complications. I suffered from ulcers because I was holding in so much stress within my body that my body was reacting to it. And I know several people personally where grief has literally eaten up their body, and it's taken them a long time to get back. Glory to God that they have. But, my aunt lost her son and she allowed grief to literally infiltrate her body. And that's what you don't want. So you have to have a means of trusting the process and allowing it to have its way. It is not easy. It is messy. There's no real guide. Everybody's grief is different. But I do want you to know that while you take the first steps towards your healing requires active participation. You cannot just say, I want to be healed, and then it just shows up. That's not how this works. We have to be actively seeking that healing. We have to be actively going for it. We've got to be, online, finding resources, connecting in support groups, reaching out with questions, doing what we can to give ourselves that information to be able to navigate this journey. And then as well with everyday life, whatever it is that you're looking forward to doing, if you have goals and dreams and aspirations, we got to trust the process that what we're going through right now is meant for our good. You cannot skip steps. You cannot skip the process of what it's going to take to achieve that thing that you want. And so I just wanted to share these 2 points with you because, again, this grief season and everyday life, it's a lot. We're still in this pandemic. We're still, fighting the political issues that we're facing in our nations. There's a lot that's happening around us. And I say that grief doesn't take a vacation. So it's in this moment and in this season when we do have to make sure that we're checking in with ourselves. Definitely make sure that you are doing everything that you can to take care of your mental well-being while you're going through this season. And so I thank you so much for joining me for another Grief Talk today. We'll be back next Tuesday with another 2 points to talk about how to navigate this thing called grief and everyday life. Again, if you joined at the end, make sure that you connect with me on social media. My handle is @KenishaNichelle. I am not be joining by myself. I am here with my Grieving Christians Facebook group. And if you would like to connect in a space with other believers while navigating this grief season, then I would encourage you to join and take part in the community that is happening over on Facebook. All right. Until next week, you guys be blessed. Take care. Bye-bye.